and in any shape or form finance another house, no matter even if it's small. Like, I just can't.
I don't know why we couldn't.
What if the gavel's echo didn't end a marriage but exposed one you never knew existed? What if the envelope in that lawyer's hand didn't just hold paper but a detonator for a family's last illusion? Tonight, a courtroom goes silent. A name is spoken, and a teenager steps out of the shadows to rewrite the Brown family's story in real time. A secret wife, hidden child. Allegiances snap, masks fall. And when Robin breaks, when Mary whispers, when Christine explodes. 1. Truth remains, Kody won't walk out the way he walked in. Stay with me till the end, because the twist about who knew and for how long will leave you breathless. The gavel lands like a hard knuckle on old wood, and every head in the room tilts toward the sound as if the echo itself had authority. You can count the breaths until the lawyer's shoes stop beside the bench. A sealed envelope resting in his palm, heavy with the promise of ruin. And as he breaks the lip of the paper, seeing the courtroom exhales all at once, a shared release. That feels like fear. No one speaks, and then he does, steady as stone. Mr. Brown, are you ready to confess the presence of your fifth wife? And it isn't thunder that rattles the windows. It's the collective awareness that history just forked, that the story of a family crowned in cameras and confessionals, stitched by prayers and edits, has just opened a door nobody wants to walk through. Christine's fingers clamp so hard around the table edge, her knuckles glow like porcelain. Janelle's mouth parts into a shape that never finds words. Mary sits like someone who has already attended this funeral in private and come anyway. Eyes slick, but face blank. And Robin presses her palm to her chest and murmurs a prayer you can't hear, only feel in the tremble of her shoulders. The attorney starts laying pages like cards in a rigged game certificate. Transfer. Photo and the top image freezes the room because even behind the veil, the pose is unmistakable. Kody's arm, squilled and claimed, the angle of a smile. He thinks looks humble. The body language of a man who wants lives to believe they're singular. The judge's gaze lifts over his glasses and slices air. Do you affirm this is you in the photo, Mr. Brown? And Kody's jaw locks so tight, you can almost hear enamel give. Silence answers before he can, because silence knows it's louder. Somewhere near the second row, someone whispers, "No." And it skitters like a bug under the benches. Mary's voice finds a fissure and slips through, tiny, unsteady. He said, "We were everything, but there was always someone more, And for a blink, the gallery sees it, the war that looks like a family. Then the lawyer lands the next blow, not with sound, but with ink. The birth certificate lifted like a blade. Father Kody Brown. The benches erupt. The judge's gavel hammers in futility. And just when the noise resolves into a trembling quiet, the command comes cold and clear. Bring the child into the courtroom now. It hurts to breathe because everyone understands. They are seconds away from seeing the rumor take human form. The doors yaw open, shoes touch down in a cadence that's too careful to be anything but terrified. And a teenager steps out carrying the weight of borrowed secrets. Maybe 16, maybe 17, but there's a geometry in the face that tips. The room's jaw, the line of a mouth that learned to be careful, Brown written in the bones. Christine's hand flies to her lips. Janelle leans forward like she could squint reality away. Mary's shoulders square as if bracing for a wave. Robin shakes her head in a rhythm that says if she denies it long enough, the universe will adjust. Kody doesn't move. He clutches the table with white-knuckled devotion as if the oak could absolve him, and he stares at the kid the way a diver stares at a surface he can't reach. And it's not the look of surprise, it's the look of someone who practiced this moment in nightmares and still arrived unready. The bailiff's voice guides the teenager to the stand. A small oath becomes a public birth. State your name for the record, Aiden Brown, and the surname detonates cleanly, because names don't. Stutter, they connect. Christine whispers, he lied to us, like an equation finally solved. The judge turns the lens. Mr. Brown, do you deny this child's identity? And Kody's mouth opens and empties nothing. Because somewhere between pride and panic, the truth jammed in his throat, and he can only say the worst word in crisis complicated, which is gasoline on a floor full of sparks. Christine can't remain seated, complicated. You hit a wife and a child, and Robin's voice breaks into pieces that never become a sentence. And then the lawyer does what wolves do when the deer limb circles. Were you or were you not married to a fifth wife? And the pause ends with a confession that doesn't arrive as courage, but as fatigue. Yes, years ago. Anarchy blooms. Christine points like accusation is a compass. Janelle's composure snaps like a dry twig, Mary's. Tears come honest and heavy. Robin slams the table and says stop to a thing that is never listened. The judge fights the sea with a gavel and wins only inches. And in that small, quiet Aiden's voice threads the room again. There's something else. I need to tell you about my mom. You can feel 40 hearts miss the same beat. The judge leans in, proceed, and the sentence that follows isn't a knife. It's a diagram. She knew about all of you. Rage pitches high she knew. No, that's not true. And the judge's order drags everyone back onto the cliff so they can hear. The rest? She said she wasn't just a secret. She was part of the plan. It's promised acknowledgement. It's promised someday. And the word promised bounces off the walls and comes back as betrayed. Kody snaps at last, voice booming. That's enough. And the judge snaps louder. Sit down. The folder slides to the bench and the judge browses a decade like it's a pamphlet. Payments, letters, instructions that sketch a picture in negative space. Money sent where love hid. Apologies written like contracts. A second life that cost. The first one, lunch money. The lawyer asks the question that tastes like metal. If she was part of the plan, did anyone else know? And Aiden looks like a kid again. Eyes wet with the pain of telling the truth about someone who asked you not to. She said one of the wives knew her. The room detonates, not with volume, but with betrayal's peculiar hush. The kind where everyone is loud inside. Oh? The judge asks, and the finger lifts and points and lands like a verdict. Mary. Shock wears three faces. Christine's howl. Could you Janelle's again? Robin's, please. Don't tan. Mary rises on trembling knees, voice shaking as if words are heavier than she remembers. It isn't what it looks like. Christine carves back. You knew and left us blind. Janelle's rage wobbles into grief. And the judge formalizes the wound. Did you have prior knowledge, Mrs. Brown? And Mary closes her eyes like someone who has carried a sack too long and finally sets it down. Yes, I knew. The word echoes in her own chest first, then in Christine's tears, then in Janelle's clenched jaw, then in Robin's broken weeping. Kody turns a new blade on her. You swore you'd never. And Mary bleeds courage. You made me swear. Said it would keep the family from collapsing. And for a beat, the gallery sees her not as traitor, but as hostage. Did you ever meet the woman? The lawyer asks, and Mary's gaze flinches to warn Kody, who tries to warn by staring, but fear has had enough of being fed once. He said it wouldn't last. He said silence was safety, and when the next question comes, it arrives with a target painted on it. What is her name? And Mary exhales a life and whispers, Leah. The name hits the room with a physical force, pulling out photos like receipts. Leah with a veil. Leah with a baby. Leah in a doorway bought with someone else's groceries. And when the attorney asks Kody if he denies her, not the idea, but the woman, he looks at paper, not faces, and says the one syllable nobody wanted but everybody expected. No. The judge grinds a path back to order and writes a sentence that feels like a storm watch. This court will hear from Leah in person. The day exhales into whispers. The wives sag like scaffolding after the facade fell, and the room files into a night full of questions with one answer already written. Tomorrow, the shadow steps into light. Is
always kind of waiting to say, when they say something or do something, she's going to twist it all around. That's how they feel about.
What happens when the rumor gets a seat, the secret gets a voice, and the shadow learns how to speak in daylight? Stay, because Leah is about to tell the story Kody never planned to survive. The air in the courtroom hangs heavy, every molecule charged, as if truth itself is an uninvited guest that finally decided to arrive. Leah does not sit like a woman waiting for approval. She sits like someone who already knows that her existence has weight, that her voice is not a petition, but a verdict of its own. She doesn't tremble, doesn't glance nervously around the room like someone caught in sin. She faces forward, shoulders square, eyes steady, and for the first time the courtroom realizes this isn't just another witness. This is the missing piece, the shadow made flesh. The rumor in the flesh and blood reality of a woman who was promised a future and then condemned to the attic of secrecy. Christine clutches the edge of the table, her body trembling with rage but also curiosity. Every part of her wants to scream, but another part, smaller and frightened, wants to know the details, because knowing is the only way to stop the guessing. Janelle leans forward, chin in her hand, eyes narrowed, trying to compute how many family dinners, how many family gatherings. How many nights of tears were colored by lies they never had the language to describe? Mary sits still, lips pressed so tightly together they are almost bloodless. But her chest rises and falls with frantic rhythm. Her mind has already traveled back to that single day, the day she saw Leah, the day she promised to keep silence, the day she buried a truth that grew into a monster. And Robin, broken, fragile Robin, is already sobbing before a word is spoken. Her cries not of guilt but of collapse, as if this new truth is one burden to many on a back already cracking. Under secrets. The attorney paces slowly, deliberately. Voice calm but slicing like glass through velvet. Mrs. Brown, how long have you lived this way? How long did Mr. Brown ask you to remain hidden? Leah folds her hands on her lap and speaks not with anger, but with exhaustion, the kind of exhaustion that turns into iron. 15 years. 15 years of being a rumor, a shadow, an afterthought. 15 years of raising a son who knew his father only in pieces, never in public. A gasp spreads through the gallery. Even the spectators, hardened by days of revelations, cannot ignore the gravity of a decade and a half. Christine's whisper escapes without permission. 15 years. As if saying it out loud makes it real, the attorney presses forward, stacking stone upon stone. Did Mr. Brown provide support for you and your son? Leah nods, but her nod is heavy. Yes. Money arrived. Houses were given. But each came with strings. Be silent. Stay hidden. Do not ask for more than what is handed to you. I had food, I had walls, but I never had a voice. My son had a father, but only in the shadows. He was told birthdays could not be on his real birthday, that holidays had to be moved to keep secrets intact. Do you know what it is to celebrate Christmas in January? Because December is taken by another family? Do you know what it is to tell your child that silence is the same as love? The wives shift, the imagery hitting them like blows. Christine covers her face, remembering the holidays when Kody claimed he was busy, when he arrived late or not at all. Janelle's hands tremble against the wood of the table. Robin whispers into her tissue, "No. No." Mary's jaw clenches harder, as if bone itself could keep her from breaking down. The attorney turns the knife. And did Mr. Brown make promises? To you about your place, about your future? Leah's voice does not crack, sharpens. Yes, he told me the others were obligations. That I was the true partner. That when the time was right, he would step into my world and make it official. That my son would one day inherit, that the family name would pass through him. The wives react instantly. Christine slams her palm flat on the table, the sound echoing. Obligations. Her voice is sharp with fury. Janelle hisses. So we were chains around his neck. Robin's cries grow louder, shaking with denial. Mary drops her head into her hands. Kody shifts uncomfortably, sweat glistening on his forehead. He can feel control slipping like sand through his fingers. He snaps, his voice rising. That's not what I said. But the gavel comes down like thunder. Mr. Brown, you will remain silent. For once, Kody does. Leah continues, the calm storm that refuses to be silenced. She tells the court about photographs taken in secret, about days spent waiting for a knock, that sometimes never came, about explaining to Aiden that his father loved him even if the world could never know. She describes letters written in careful code. Money orders signed but never personalized. Gifts bought with guilt rather than joy. The courtroom is silent except for the cadence of her truth. And then, with surgical precision, the attorney asks, "Why now, Mrs. Brown? Why today? Why risk everything now?" Leah turns, looks at Kody, and the years of silence are burned out of her eyes because erasure is death. And I have been dying in pieces for 15 years. 'Cause my son deserves to be seen. 'Cause the truth may hurt, but the dark suffocates. Because I have run out of room to be small. Her words ripple through the room like shockwaves. Even Christine, hardened in rage, has tears burning her cheeks. Janelle exhales sharply, broken by the power of those words. Mary whispers something. Too faint to hear, Robin collapses fully into sobs. Kody drops his head, unable to meet her gaze. The attorney thanks her with solemnity, dismisses her, and calls Kody forward. The room shifts. The once confident patriarch looks smaller now, his swagger dissolved, his shoulders hunched. He swears the oath with the voice of a man who knows. He has no lies left sharp enough to cut the truth. Mr. Brown, were you married to Leah Brown? The pause is long, but finally he nods. Yes. The word is soft, broken, but it carries like a bomb. Gasps echo. Christine's pen clatters to the floor. Janelle covers her mouth. Robin wails. Mary's eyes close in quiet devastation. The questions don't stop. Why the secrecy? Kody's answer is bitter, because you wouldn't understand. I was protecting what I built. Did you divert funds? I provided. That was my responsibility. Did you call your wives obligations? His throat tightens. Yes. The word is a nail in the coffin of trust. The wives shatter visibly. Christine cries openly now. Janelle's fury is ice cold. Mary shakes with shame, and Robin begs God to wake her up. Did you intend to make Leah and Aiden your heirs, leaving the others behind? His silence screams before his lips whisper, yes. The gallery erupts in chaos. The judge's gavel brings it back under control, but the spell is broken. The patriarch is no longer a man, he is evidence. The wife's attorney rises, replaying Kody's words in slow motion until every syllable drips with betrayal, turning his defense into confession. The defense lawyer attempts to paint Kody as pressured, as flawed, as human. But the image has already hardened in the minds of everyone present. By the time the judge adjourns, the courtroom is hollowed out by exhaustion. The wives leave in fragments, Christine seething, Janelle rigid, Mary hollow, Robin hysterical. Leah sits firm at the back, her presence like an anchor in a storm. Aiden hides his face, his shame too large for his young frame. Kody remains slumped, head in his hands, no crown, no throne, only silence. And when the cameras outside flash, the world doesn't see a husband or a father. They see a man unmasked, a patriarch dethroned, a king who built his empire on sand, finally watching it collapse.
Yeah, no, stuff that shocked me completely.
We get to a point where it's great experience and it's a struggle, and it's great experience and it's a struggle.
What if the man you trusted most turned out to be planning your erasure from the very beginning? What if every promise, every prayer, every word about love and family was nothing more than a rehearsed speech meant to keep you quiet while he built another empire in the shadows? Today is not just the end of a trial, it is the unmasking of a patriarch. The collapse of a story told for decades, and the birth of a truth that refuses to die. Stay with me until the final moment, because what Kody Brown confesses in his own words and what the judge reveals in the last breath of this courtroom drama will leave you questioning everything you ever believed about loyalty, love, and legacy. The morning breaks like a bruise across the courthouse sky, dull and heavy, as if even the weather understands the weight of judgment about to fall. Reporters crowd the steps, microphones thrust forward like weapons, cameras firing bursts of light that sting the eyes of wives who no longer look like wives but like survivors crawling from wreckage. Christine enters first, her face hard as carved stone, eyes burning with fury that refuses to dim. Janelle follows, jaw set tight, lips pressed thin, her entire body a fortress against collapse. Mary trails behind, fragile yet upright, as if carrying both guilt and defiance in equal measure. Robin comes last, her body trembling, a tissue crushed in her hand, still clinging to the last threads of denial. Behind them, Leah and Aiden walk with a strange calm, no longer rumors, but undeniable. Flesh and blood, the living proof of everything Kody fought to hide. And then, last of all, Kody enters once a man of swagger, now a shadow draped in a suit, his eyes refusing to meet anyone else's, his steps weighted with shame. Inside the courtroom, the air doesn't buzz, it suffocates. The judge's gavel cracks the silence, and everyone sits like prisoners awaiting fate. The wife's attorney rises for closing arguments, his words sharp enough to cut through bone. He calls Kody not just a liar, but an architect of deception who manipulated vows, children, and even God's name for his own survival. He replays every confession Kody gave, obligations, responsibility, heirs, words that sounded like duty, but bled like betrayal. Christine nods, tears streaking her fury. Janelle squeezes her chair until the wood groans. Mary mutters, prayer for strength. Robin rocks silently, whispering no into her tissue. Leah sits upright, her gaze cold steel, while Aiden clenches his fists, jaw trembling with barely contained rage. When the defense rises, the tone shifts scum, apologetic, desperate. Kody's lawyer pleads with the court to remember the children, to remember the pressures of public life. To see Kody not as a monster, but as a flawed man who buckled under impossible weight. He paints Kody as human, as tragic, as someone who loved too many instead of too few. But the courtroom does not buy the wives' faces are iron. The gallery murmurs with disbelief, and the air itself seems to reject redemption. Then, one by one, the wives give their final statements. Christine's voice is a blade, recounting every year she begged for attention while Kody built another home. He didn't just cheat on me, he cheated every child who trusted him. Janelle's voice follows a hammer of truth. Faith without honesty is a lie. He made me doubt myself, doubt us, but now I know it was always him. Mary rises, trembling, her guilt pouring out. I kept his secrets. I thought I was protecting us. But all I did was protect his lies. No more. She collapses back, Christine steadying her, and then Robin, shaking, sobbing, pleads with the court to spare him. He is still my husband. He is still the man I love. Don't take him from me. Her words ring hollow in the ears of everyone else, but to her they are lifelines she refuses to cut. The judge listens without blinking, then calls the court to recess for deliberation. The wives exit like storm clouds. Leah and Aiden remain silent, and Kody slumps forward, head in his hands, sweat dripping from his brow. For the first time, the man who once ruled like a king looks like a prisoner of his own making. The next morning, the courthouse is electric. Rumors fly of new evidence, whispers of a sixth secret, reporters shouting questions that slice through the air like arrows. Inside, the judge takes his seat, his expression grim. This court has considered the evidence, the testimonies, and the impact of these acts. Today, Judgment will be delivered. The words fall heavy. Christine grips the table so tight, her knuckles whiten. Janelle's eyes blaze with anticipation. Mary whispers a prayer. Robin sobs quietly. Leah squeezes Aiden's hand, and Kody, finally, lifts his head, eyes wide with dread. The verdict is a guillotine in slow motion. Kody Brown is found guilty of deception, of diverting funds, of hiding a lawful marriage, of betraying the very family he built. All financial assets are frozen, pending fair division. Custody agreements are to be reevaluated. Leah and Aiden are recognized as legal members of the Brown family. The wives gasp, Christine exhaling fire, Janelle muttering finally. Mary weeping with relief and shame, Robin collapsing with a cry of no. Leah bows her head, tears streaking but triumphant, while Aiden finally breathes like someone given back. His name. Kody slams his fist on the table, roaring that the court cannot steal his family. But the gavel silences him. The patriarch's voice is no longer law. As the courtroom dissolves into chaos, wives shouting, reporters scrambling, Robin clinging to denial, the bailiff delivers one last envelope. Fresh evidence. The judge reads, brows furrowed, and the air freezes. This court has received documents suggesting the existence of yet another hidden account, indicating a possible sixth relationship. The gasp is seismic. Christine stumbles back. Janelle shakes her head violently. Mary clutches her chest. Robin collapses into sobs. Leah stares in horror, and Kody turns ghost white. The judge announces the court will resume to probe further, and the room erupts into pandemonium. The screen of this story goes black, but the whisper remains haunting and unresolved. The court has spoken. The family has broken. But how many secrets is Kody Brown still keeping?